TMZ is trolling Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Y'all gotta see this.
Okay, I gotta ask you, Luigi Mangione, he's, one of the most famous people in jail right now behind bars. And, he has quite the fan base. I wondered, there's people writing him tons of letters. How did you handle that?
Well, it was nice to have the support, and it was nice to have the support, and I met a few friends that way, and I met Ken that way, so.
Well, do you have any cautionary tales about certain letters that you got?
There's a lot of weirdos out there too. So.
That's what I'm saying. Anything particular?
There's a lot of weirdos.
Yep, like you. Offering your daughter up to a grown man.
How do you deal with that? What do you do?
I'm weird, so I'm okay.
Because he's very genuine, and I can tell that he wasn't trying to initiate a relationship with me. We became best friends. And romance developed after.
How do you decide who to write back?
You just gotta read people. You gotta fill it out. You gotta see who's genuine, who's just in it for clout. Generally, if they start asking, give her money or something like that, or kind of being way too close too fast, that's a red flag.
You found love behind bars. I wonder, any advice for Luigi on that front?
No.
What? None at all?
Not at all.
None at all? Okay.
He's not in no devices with that one.
What's the best way to handle all the admiration, and admirers?
You appreciate the support you got, and you don't listen to the hate and the critics, and you just try to do your time, honestly. Letters help pass the time. I'll tell you that.
It really did?
It really did.
Did you have a maybe pile and a definitely not pile? Did you separate,
Well, it's kind of like when you read them, it's like, okay, I definitely want to write this person back and be sure about the letter.
First of all, Gypsy was talking to 250 men allegedly in prison. And she was collecting money. I heard she was taking money from them like it was a turnstile. Okay, child. Now, we know she used to sell a little bit or a lot of bits. We know that she sold it in that shed at her mama house. Gypsy had the audacity to say that there was a lot of weirdos. Girl, you are a weirdo. Remember, you were offering your daughter up to her father on her 13th birthday. Remember, you were saying because he is the man of the house, he should be the one to take it? Yeah, you did that. You the weirdo. Let's talk about it. The fact that TMZ is trolling her, and the reason they are trolling her on cases about unaliving is because they are trying to catch her up, child. TMZ is like, baby, we finna get you because we don't like you. So we gonna keep showing up when you call us, but we gonna troll the hell out of you until you air your own self out. I'm starting to love TMZ for this. TMZ, I didn't realize y'all was this ruthless, but seeing how you handling Gypsy and how her interview went yesterday, I know y'all are trolling her. And I'm loving y'all for this. Okay, TMZ? Because y'all had me wondering until y'all called her a mommy murderer. I was like, I don't know about this, TMZ. I don't know. Y'all are acting a little funny. But now that y'all are doing this and I see how y'all setting her up, I hear the questions. Y'all doing the damn thing, TMZ, and I love you for it. Okay, TMZ? You out here doing the thing, and I'm here for it. Alexis Oakley is disgusting. She supports the woman that wanted her daughter to be raped by her father. Could you imagine supporting a woman that wanted to do heinous things to her child? And gallivanting in Sephora? These people are wild. I'm clutching my pearls. I would never be associated with someone that would do harm to kids. So that kind of says a lot about her. Anyway, this is a stitch. This video is on my backup page, so just click Flawless Nina down here, or Nina the Beauty Influencer. It'll take you to the video. You can watch the whole video, but I just wanted you guys to know. Nancy Grace is out here speaking on Casey Anthony, but what she's not speaking on is the fact that Gypsy Rose is a fraud. But y'all, let's just watch this whole Casey Anthony thing, because she's right when it comes to Casey, but I need her to be right about Gypsy. I'm tired of Nancy Grace acting like Gypsy is this victim. Like, don't you see that this girl's a pedophile?
Legal advocate? My rear end? She's... She says she's been in the legal field since 2011 when she was tried for murder. That's her exposure to the justice system. I agree with trial judge Belvin Perry. This is just a money grab. She needs money. So what does she do? Come try to get money out of your pocket. And guess what? Thousands of idiots have already signed up to hear Tot Mom talk about her legal expertise, which, by the way, FYI, Tot Mom, that's against the law to pretend you're a lawyer and give legal advice if that's what you're planning to do. That said, what do I think of it? Not much. You know what? Why isn't she seeking justice for Kelly? I'm curious to find out what expertise, what legal advice Tot Mom has to offer. But I'm curious in a way that when I go to the zoo and I'm in the snake house, I look at the poisonous snake through a glass. That's about as close as I'm going to get. So I will not be subscribing to Tot Mom's Substack. For those of you that are purchasing advice from Tot Mom Casey Anthony, I advise you to go put your money in a savings account. Please don't do this, because I know many people think it's laughable. I don't. Every time someone gives Tot Mom 1 penny, they are voting not guilty. A lot of focus right now is being placed on Tot Mom Casey Anthony, who is a freeloader, and more. But my focus is still on Kelly, because Kelly was murdered and she was thrown. This little girl that just turned 3 was bagged in trash bags from the Anthony home with one of her favorite blankets inside and thrown into a swampy area just 10 houses down from the Anthony home to decompose. When her body was found, she was covered in flies and maggots and decomposed. Duct tape had been wrapped all around her skull, including her face, the front of her face, mouth, and nose, with a heart sticker placed on it. That's my focus. So all the attention about Tot Mom finally getting a job,
Ooh, child, Diddy is in so much doggone trouble. I don't even know what to say about any of this, because this is getting to the point where you're like, okay, is this what we doing for real? I know Diddy is just sick, and sick and tired of being in that prison. I know he is. He got to be, and I'm happy. Dying there. I'm just saying, you know Diddy is not happy with none of this. Listen, Diddy, Jay-Z, all of this is too wild, and you can't tell me that it's not crazy.
Jay-Z and Diddy's accuser was questioned by private investigators. And now Jay-Z submitted affidavits from these private investigators confirming that this woman was approached by these private investigators. All of these affidavits are coming from Jay-Z's extortion case that he filed against Tony Busby in California when he got the demand letter from this Jane Doe. This Jane Doe alleged that on Friday, February 21st, she was approached at her home by 2 individuals, a woman and a large man. They cornered her on her front porch and told her that they were investigators working for the attorney on behalf of Jay-Z. They asked her if she was willing to sign an affidavit stating that her claims in the New York action were false, but she refused. And now, on behalf of Jay-Z, these private investigators submitted affidavits in Jay-Z's case against Tony Busby, confirming that they did go question this Jane Doe after her lawsuit was already dropped. But both of the stories are very different, and some of the things that this private investigator is saying really doesn't make sense to me. Now, this is an affidavit from Charlotte Henderson, who said, "I am a licensed private investigator, but I was not hired by Jay-Z or his attorneys to perform the investigation I described in this declaration." She said on Friday, February 21st, along with investigator James Butler, she met with Jane Doe. This is one big question for me. If you're saying that you were not hired by Jay-Z or his attorneys, why are you going to this Jane Doe's house, and how did you even find out her identity? And then Jay-Z is going to somehow know who you are and use your statement in his lawsuit that he filed against Tony Busby? Jay-Z has used private investigators in the past in 2021. The Rolling Stone did this whole article in 2021 talking about how Jay-Z hired a retired cop to spy on a former perfume executive. And this article said that Jay-Z's legal team hired a retired cop to sniff around the neighborhood of a former president of a perfume company involved in a breach of contract trial that was in New York. He said that she met Jane Doe on the front porch of her home in Alabama, and she confirmed that she was in fact the Jane Doe plaintiff in the lawsuit. Jane Doe appeared calm and at ease, and she maintained a natural demeanor and engaged in conversation freely. Mind you, the Jane Doe is saying something completely different. She said that she asked them to leave her alone because she felt intimidated and terrified at being confronted by these two individuals on her doorstep. She said that they knew her name and her home address despite her being anonymous in the New York lawsuit. After this, Jane Doe put her statement in the extortion case that Jay-Z filed against Tony Busby. Then Jay-Z sued this Jane Doe and Tony Busby both in Alabama. In Jay-Z's lawsuit, he admits that he now knows Jane Doe, and he's known Jane Doe since February 21st of 2025. I'll remind you, this is the same exact day that these private investigators that weren't hired by Jay-Z made contact with this Jane Doe. And I always thought that it was really weird how Alex Spiro talked about this Jane Doe's identity after this NBC interview that was on December 13th. Alex Spiro did that press conference and he tried to show everything in the NBC interview that was false, and he did that 3 days later on December 16th. Listen to how he described this Jane Doe at the time.
Do you know who the Jane Doe is, like her actual identity? Has there been like research into that on your end?
Yeah, because it's a fair question because she's been blacked out in the video and because a court has not unmasked her in court. I'm not going to get into her identity. You will notice that I did not get into some of her issues. I don't want to. It's really sad in many respects, and I don't want to get into that, so I'm not going to unmask her here today.
This private investigator is alleging that the Jane Doe told her that Jay-Z did not SA her, and that she originally told Tony Busby that she had been SA'd by Diddy and a world-renowned female celebrity who was present for the SA, and that Tony Busby suggested that she claimed that Mr. Carter was another person. And I found this statement to be odd because I have the original lawsuit that was filed all the way back on October 20th that only named Diddy, but it still had celebrity A and B, but they weren't named yet. Now, this private investigator alleged that the Jane Doe stated that Busby brought Jay-Z into it, and he was the one that kind of pushed her towards going forward with Jay-Z. This private investigator then alleged that this Jane Doe told her that Mr. Busby asked if Jay-Z had been at the party. Jane Doe told Mr. Busby that Jay-Z was at the party, but she told me that Jay-Z did not partake in any SA of Miss Doe. Then goes on to say that Jane Doe confirmed the following regarding Jay-Z during their interview. But mind you also, guys, there is no transcript, there is no phone call or video proof attached to what this affidavit is. It's only this private investigator's word. And the same thing could also be said with the Jane Doe, but I really don't understand why they are admitting that a private investigator went after this Jane Doe after the lawsuit was dismissed and to ask questions about Jay-Z, but they were not hired by Jay-Z or anybody in his counsel. The private investigator then alleged that she asked these questions to Jane Doe. Jay-Z had nothing to do with this, correct? And she said, right. Other than that he was at the party that you were at, so I mean, he did not SA you, right? No. He was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any of the acts towards you. Yeah. She also alleged that Jane Doe told her that the lawyers at Mr. Busby's law firm told her if she pursued Jay-Z, she would get a payout. This private investigator also alleged that the Jane Doe said shortly before Mr. Busby dismissed the lawsuit against Jay-Z, Tony Busby allegedly told her that Jay-Z was threatening to off her. And like I said, this private investigator's story is very different than the Jane Doe story that she just said just a couple days ago. She said that she felt intimidated and threatened by these private investigators and that they were allegedly trying to get her to sign an affidavit saying that her claims were false. She also said that they went after her parents and were trying to do the same thing and asking if Tony Busby tried to pay them to get them to lie. She said that she actually stands 10 toes down on her claims that she made, and she just dropped the lawsuit because she was terrified. Tony Busby has been alleging that private investigators have been after him and his former clients for months. We got pictures of these private investigators, and this one right here is very similar to the one that was going around questioning content creators about Diddy months ago. And mind you, Tony Busby filed multiple lawsuits against Roc Nation and others on behalf of his former clients who said that they were contacted by these private investigators and offered money to file fake lawsuits against Tony Busby. And in these lawsuits, not only did he include transcripts of phone calls, photos, he also has multiple affidavits from these former clients saying what happened to them. On top of the two private investigators that went to her in person, there is also another private investigator who seemed to do some research into this Jane Doe's background. And what I found out about him is pretty weird. So he said his name is Ian Pillinger. manager, and he said he's an employee at Guidepost Solutions LLC, which is licensed to conduct investigations in the state of New York. So you know me, I went and did some digging on this guy, and it says that he is a director in the New York State office for Guidepost Solutions, and he's a former state prosecutor and a federal government official. And it says that his work on the investigation side, that he manages and supports investigations through research, subject and witness interviews, and strategic planning for a wide range of clients, including the top 100 law firms, major international corporations, and high net worth and high profile individuals. And we know that Quinn Emanuel, where Alex Spiro works at, is one of the top law firms, and we also know that Jay-Z is a high profile individual. I don't know, it may just be a coincidence, but that's pretty weird if you ask me. So I'm really wondering if the private investigators were sent by him on behalf of technically somebody else. Because in his affidavit, he does not state that he doesn't work for Jay-Z or Jay-Z's counsel, and he said that he was provided the name of the Jane Doe, the person on behalf of the lawsuit filed in Jane Doe versus Sean Combs. I cannot help but keep finding the connection with New York and these private investigators super weird. So Tony Busby, at the same time that he was talking about these private investigators, he found out that this person was a New York private investigation firm calling his former employees of the Busby law firm trying to get information on any negative experience. Tony Busby found out that this woman works for a company called Lex Intelligence. And all of this is also included in his multiple lawsuits filed by his former clients. Like I said, all of this is going on in Jay-Z's extortion case that he filed against Tony Busby, that the judge just said that he's probably about to dismiss Jay-Z's extortion claim unless he showed evidence. I'm very interested to see if this case is going to make it to the discovery phase, because there is some interesting information coming out in all of this. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Anyway, y'all, I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing. I want to do a live tonight, but I don't know. My daughter has dance. I'm going to try and do it while I'm at her dance. But if I don't, I love y'all. Love you long time.